Good morning. Welcome to Truth for Today. This is Dai-Ching Yuan, your host and teacher, pastor of Abilene Bible Church. Today we are continuing our study of Understanding Spiritual Warfare, Part 1, Investigation, Demonic Religions. We have learned that the demons are the servants in the household of God. They are greater than people before they are saved because they are children, but they are lesser than saved people because they are sons. And because of this, there was a jealousy, and the part of the angels fell and became demons. And what the demons want to do is to thwart God's sovereign plan of making children into sons. Okay, so within this great picture, then what they do is that they try to keep non-believers ignorant or confused. They're trying to prevent believers from seeing the whole picture, unite, and fight against the demons. So that's what they want to do. And the tool of their work is through false ideologies or false religions, which I call them all demonic religions. We have learned to put the faith or the ideas of this world into a spectrum from the left to the right. The leftist side is atheism, including nihilism, that there's nothing. Atheism, there's no God, and nihilism, there's nothing. Even we don't exist. But that's kind of an extreme. But nihilism is and atheism are at the end, and then we have deism, which gives a limited role to God only in the beginning of creation, and the rest of the time God has no relationship with the world. So if we there's a God, put a theta, Greek theta there, theos, and the world down there, and for atheism, you put a cross out on the God. There's no God. For deism, there's a God, there's a world, but you will put a cross out on the relationship. There's no relationship between God and the world. And now that's the left side of the beliefs. There's something very ancient like Confucianism and the Buddhism. They all started around 500 BC. Interestingly, the world's religions all started around 500 BC. That actually is the time when God told Israel that you have fallen, you will be judged. I will raise up Gentile nations to rule over you, but I will restore you later. You see? That's why the Gentile worldviews and the philosophers, they all suddenly born around 500 BC. Greek philosophers, and then the Chinese and Indian philosophers, and even Zarathustra of Iran, and they all were born around 500 something BC. So it's something worth thinking. It is not a coincidence. It is God's sovereign plan. And these many nations, they have so many different world religions. Well, that actually is God loosed, God permitted, and then Satan inspired these false ideas. But they still have some truth because God has the image of God in every mankind. But anyway, the demonic religions, if you're on the left side, you are supposed to worship yourself, trust in nobody but yourself. But since the human self is so weak and so easily being deceived, in reality they will become controlled by the demons and worshiping Satan. So that's what I see, the left side of the belief spectrum. Now today we are going to enter the right side of the belief spectrum. On the right side, the extreme right is pantheism. Okay, pan means all, theism means God, believing God. So pan, all is God. That is pantheism. Now, if you draw a picture, you draw a theta, which is God, and then you draw a world, and you will put equality between them. The world is God, and God is the world. So everything is God, and God is everything. There is this great one, in Hinduism is the Brahman, the great one, and then there is a small one. You want to be saved is try to melt yourself into the great one. So since the great one is the world and this nature, so yourself should be melted into the nature. Do not distinguish humanity from nature and just live as an animal does in the nature. So that's why recently one of the government ministers in India called the whole nation the biggest outdoor toilet of the world. Because they don't build toilets. They just poop in the wild, because that's what animals do. You see? That's that kind of religion will reduce mankind to animals. But they believe they have greatest thinkers, and there are many great thinkers in India, and they are highly intelligent. Even today, there are many Indian engineers that are, dominating in the field in America too. But anyway, that's a different thing. Being intelligent and having the right worldview it's two different things, okay? And they are two different things. And the pantheism on the extreme right of the faith, the spectrum of faith, it believes that everything is God, the one, okay? And we are part of God. So how do you find God? Find God from within. So look within, find God. And God is there. And actually, God is you. You are God. And at least you're part of God, or you are God. So that's the idea. And this idea is now very popular in America because of the New Age movement. But if you reach the root, it was pantheism. It was a Hinduism. Hindu is another word for Indias or Hindus or India. So Hinduism is the Indian religion. And Hinduism may be one of the oldest religions. It is counted as the oldest religion in the world by the secularists. But I do think that Christianity actually is the oldest religion in the world, from Genesis 3:15, when God says the son of woman will break the head of Satan. That's the first prophecy about Christ. But Adam named his wife Chava, the mother of life, and his firstborn son as Cain, the begotten one, the acquired one. So he's thinking that he was a Messiah. So all of these signs tell us that early humanity after the fall were Christians, in the sense that they believed there will be a Christ, a Messiah coming. But besides that, anyway, the world religions began all around about 500 BC. See, Buddha, Confucius, Zarathustra, all of the great Greek philosophers who were even earlier, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, they were all suddenly appeared around 500 BC. Hinduism, maybe even earlier than that. And usually people say that, it can go to about 2,000 to 3,000 BC. I think that's exaggerated. But anyway, Hinduism is one of the oldest world religions, and it starts from India. It believes that everything that has life is an endless cycle of transmigration. Life is controlled by an impersonal law, karma. Have you heard the word karma recently? Yes, bad karma, unfortunate. So the New Age movement is the Western Hinduism. Okay, so you got to understand the Hinduism to understand pantheism, understand the root of Buddhism, understand the monism as Neoplatonism, and understand the New Age movement today. So we have to spend some time on Hinduism. Okay, in Hinduism, they believe that everything that has life is God, is part of the big one. Okay, that is God. And that would include humans, the animals, and the plants. So because of this, they would forbid people from eating animals. So that's why vegetarianism, if it's based on religion, it is Hindu. Okay, so today, if people want to be vegetarian, you got to ask them on what basis. If it's on for health reason, it's okay. If it's based on religion, then you know the person believes in Hinduism in reality. Okay, now they believe that life is in endless transmigration. That means if I have lived as a good man, then in the next life, they believe life is going to have endless cycles. In the next life, you're going to be born again into a wealthier family or higher level of beings. They divided human beings into 4 levels, or actually 5. The highest level are called the Brahmins. They are the priests. And then the second level is called Shudra, and they are the warriors and kings. And the third level is Fisha, and they are the merchants. And the fourth level are the Sudra, I think. Kshatriya is second level, and Sudra are the fourth level. That's the people who do the menial jobs. And even below them, there's one class people called the untouchable. They are the unclean people. So somehow there is an idea of holiness or an uncleanness, cleanness and uncleanness in Hinduism. And I think that idea must come from the universal revelation of God to Adam, and then through Noah to the post-Diluvian people. And when people divided at the time at the Tower of Babel, different ideas were distributed to different nations in the world. They all have a little bit of truth in there, but they all have some distortions. So in India, this idea of holiness, cleanness versus uncleanness was kept. So when you meet an Indian, make sure that you shake hand with your right hand. Never use your left hand, even though your right hand is occupied, because that is left hand is unclean. Okay, for them, they only go to bathroom, wipe their butt with their left hand, never right hand. Okay, they eat only with their right hand, never left hand. Even if they were left-hander, they will never use the fork with the left hand. So you got to know the culture. They have a clear idea of holiness, of uncleanness. The problem is their holiness is not by keeping them clean, it's by having deep thoughts to unite with the one. And to unite with the one, you live as part of nature, so you actually become unclean. But they have separations, okay? Left and right hand, and in the animals, there are the holy animal. The cow is holy, the monkey is holy, so you never eat them. You can eat maybe chicken, but not pigs, okay? Pig is unclean for them. And there are so many rules, by dividing people into these castes, they give people a hope. If you live a good life, you were born into a higher caste, okay? And if you're bad life, you go to lower caste human. If you're the lowest caste of human beings, next time you have to be born as an animal, okay? And if you did not live good life as an animal, you'll be born as a grass. But if you have lived as a good grass, no matter how it is, you'll be born going upward again. You see, in the whole worldview of Hinduism, your life is controlled by karma. Karma is the record of the goodness and badness of your life. There is no person recording your life. Okay, it's not like in Christianity or in Hinduism, any monotheism. There's a God who's recording. But they have no God they are recording, but this is impersonal law is recording your life. And if you're living a bad life, then you go cycle down. If you live a good life, you cycle up. So life is controlled by impersonal laws. Okay? So if you feel like what Buddha felt in 500 BC, circa that time, he felt we have to jump out of this controlled cycles. So the way to jump out for him is to believe in the 4 truths or the 8 ways. And the 4 fundamental truths is that everything is empty, is nothing, and the world is nothing. Don't hold on, so you will not lose. And if you have you never try to catch anything, don't desire anything, then you have peace. And if you believe that everything is nothing, even you now is an illusion, so just believe that and do that, then you will, at the time of death, jump out of this cycle. You have nirvana. You become nothing, okay, as you really are. Okay, so that's the idea of Buddhism. That's where it came from. The nihilism, the atheism, the extreme go to nihilism, that came from trying to be freed from Hinduism, which is being controlled by an impersonal law, karma. And you just get back thrown around in the many lives of transmigration. Okay, so that's pantheism in its original form, Hinduism. The origin of this actually is probably made up as a tool of control for the ruling class, because Indian people, if you know them, that their color is like the Africans, but their facial features like the Europeans. And everybody believed that in the beginning there was a mixture of races, and there was a local people. Today we call them Dravidians. They are the dark-skinned people, more like the Africans. Then there is the people that the European, whom do we call them? Well, anyway, the white and the European-looking people. They came in and they conquered the local people. And then there's a mixture of races. They became one. But in order to control the conquered people, they made up this system of castes. So the priests are the highest, the Kshatriya, the kings and the warriors, the second, the merchants, the third, and the menial laborers are the fourth, and the untouchables are actually the fifth. So that's how they control the people. So you can see that religion could be made up by man for control, but it later became so powerful that everybody believed it, and people willingly will subject their lives to the doctrines of the religion. So that's what caused all of the current issues for Hinduism. The pantheism is so complex to believe that everything is one, and you are, even though you are different, but you are part of the one. That's kind of confusing, you know. But this idea only belongs to the philosophers. That's how the Hinduism later came west as Neoplatonism among the philosophers, and that's called monism. Mono is one, so there is only one. So this is actually Hinduism, pantheism in philosophy. And the Neoplatonism believed that everything is one, and it's an idealism according to. Later, it became idealism according to Hegel and Spinoza. So, Platonus, not Plato, but Platonus, he was the inventor of the Neoplatonism in the Middle Ages, and later it get quite influential even to some Christian philosophers, even to Augustine, but Augustine had to get free from it. But these ideas, they became ideas. They're just ideas because it's hard to understand. I am not you, I am not the earth, but this is teaching that we are actually one. You see, the idea of universalism, versus individualism, the diversity versus unity was the beginning of philosophy for the Greek philosophers. And this question was never truly answered. Plato tried to answer it with the idea of that the world may have diversity, but the forms behind everything is in a united world of forms. And that's how he united these things. But there had always been disagreements. Aristotle basically disagreed with his teacher, although he tried to utilize it. So the ideas continued among the thinkers, and later at the time of Friedrich Hegel, And then he believed that everything is an idea historically evolving. He's not believing that the world and God is one idea. He's believing that the historical evolving, the evolution of ideas. So there is a purpose, is for this idea, the idea, to become realized and to unite everything. And later this was expanded, by Spinoza. He believed that the world is one and the natural laws are God. And Einstein actually believed in Spinoza's God. Einstein is not a Christian, neither a proper Jew. He is, in terms of faith, he believes the idealism, the pantheism of Spinoza, which is the Western pantheism or monism. But if you trace back, it's pantheism, it's Hinduism, but it had its influence only among the thinkers. But for the popular people, common guys, the idea of monism is so hard to understand. So what they do today, well, when the Western world, which was based on two things, the Greco-Roman humanism and Hebrew Christian theism, when we combine these two together, we get the best culture of the world. It's a great system that explains everything. It has never been refuted. But somehow, people got tired of it. They could not refute theism or Christianity. They just say, we don't like it. We don't feel like believing it. We like to seek for something else. So that's where monism, idealism, and then later the deism, and then communism, and then existentialism. That's where they get their drive. They just got tired of Christianity, even though they could not refute it. They just say, well, we don't like it, we start something new. We're seeking whatever, as long as it's not the old one, it's fine. Because they attribute everything evil to Christianity. There are 10,000, there's 1,000 years, 1 millennium, 10 centuries in the Middle Ages of Christianity ruling over a huge landmass. And there are certainly evil things done there. And to attribute those things to Christianity is actually unfair, because who do you compare with? Because human beings are evil by ourselves. Why don't you attribute to just the sinfulness of human nature? Because in places, in land masses where there are no Christianity, when other worldview ruled, they did not do better. Actually, they did worse. So why attribute it to Christianity? And see, that is unfair. That's not truly honest intellectual argument. Okay, and the reason they did it is not because of reason, but because of emotion. Okay, first you lost your faith, then you don't have reason, then you say you have reason, and then you say people who disagree with you as crackpots and old-timed people that just must be destroyed. So that's why we have all of the Western civilization, the Roman Empire, it develops from the Western Empire, then the Holy Roman Empire, then Deutsche Empire, then the Third Reich, which is Nazi Germany. And the Eastern Roman Empire, it went into the Third Rome, which is Moscow, and then the Russian Empire, then it goes into Soviet Union. You see, what is in common in them? They all have a false idea of being Christian. Germans saying we have German Christianity, which means making our Aryan race. Oh, I got it. The Indians have a Dravidians and the Aryans, and they mix it into modern Indians. Okay, so the Germans they formed their own new Christianity, which is really racism, and then they divide people into races. They try to elevate the highest race, the Aryans, by eliminating the lowest race, the Jews. Well, Soviet Union, communism, they divide people not by race but by wealth. So whoever is rich or educated, then they are evil. We have to elevate all human beings by eliminating those who have wealth and those who have knowledge. So That's what happened in Soviet Union, then in China, then in Cambodia, then in Cuba, and in South America. All of these places, they are all in common. These are all decay of the Roman Empire. It had a good time when Christianity was in parallel with it, but once they rejected Christianity, that's where it goes to. Okay, National Socialism, Nazism, or International Socialism, which is communism, and they all have a internal hatred for religion, especially for Christianity, because they could not refute Christianity. They could never win the argument. All they can do is to eliminate the messenger, attack the messenger, and then eliminate them. Okay, so they may seem to have failed, but elements of those still remain, and they remain in other forms, like socialism or liberalism or statism, and we'll see. At the end, these will lead to a world under control, into a big crisis. So you have to be controlled by the Antichrist. So that's how the world will lead to. But at the end, the Antichrist, at most, will rule the world with 7 years. Actually, only 3.5 years. Then Jesus Christ is going to come again, and he's going to wipe everything clean. And with that hope, we know that it's worth living. So we back to the idea of pantheism for the common people. Okay, for the thinkers, they can still debate, argue about monism, Neoplatonism, idealism, and Hegelianism, and whatever. But for the common people today, it's the New Age movement. This is the new Western pantheism, now in which people do yoga and or qigong in China, or transcendental meditation, etc. It's all trying to melt into the one. So I would admonish Christians trying to avoid yoga, because when you do those positions, those are positions of worship. Worshipping the one, the great one, which is what do you call them? But anyway, which is a false god. It's a nothing. Okay, and Brahman and Christians, we can do Pilates, but don't do the yoga. But anyway, the New Age movement, the religion of Shirley MacLaine, that's for the common people. You can just believe that you are great, you are God, and just seek God from within. But in reality, do you have God from within? Nothing but the damaged image of God. And in reality, your flesh and the world all influence you to be controlled by Satan. So what do we see? Pantheism at the extreme end of the faith spectrum actually says that everything is God, and then look God from within. See, it's back to worshiping self, and in reality, back to worshiping Satan. Don't be fooled by this. Worship God through Jesus Christ alone. In His name we pray. Amen.